Well, what's the crack, everybody? How are you getting on? You're all very welcome to 160 Buckshot. Missed a few words there. Episode 160 of Buckshot. Huh? We got there in the end. It is, as I'm recording this, the 22nd of October 2020. So, obviously, as always, the old Patreon, you'll get this in a few minutes. It'll be in your ear holes. It'll be there ad-free. And just to let you know, the video, I'll be editing that tomorrow. So if you sooner watch the video or watch the video as well afterwards, who knows what you're into. This one will be up, and I need to put up the Sean Hegarty one as well, because we're after getting decent internet now. I can just fire them up, lads. I can just fire them up in no time. So that'll be out tomorrow evening. Both of them will be up tomorrow evening on the Patreon page, so you can sit down and enjoy our faces and whatnot. As well, yeah, I'm going to plan another, because it's been a big response from the Patreons from that live podcast. We'll do another one. We'll find an hour night that suits us all. I put it up there. That was the way I did it last time. I was like, which night suits you? And literally, there was people going to gigs and stuff and going, this is before lockdown. And it was like, yeah, fucking need to jump on it. A couple of people couldn't make it, but you can't make you can't do sort it out for everybody. But we'll do another one in the next couple of weeks, because it was good old crack, and it was nice old interaction with the people that I wouldn't normally meet, get to chat to and have a bit of fucking crack with. So we'll do another live one in a couple of weeks. So you know what to do if you want to jump on board, become a Patreon and support the show and whatnot. What was it? It was actually another thing I wanted to get today. What was it I wanted to get today? And it relates to the soundproofing. That's the thing. So we'll get a better kind of mic for the live ones. It's hard with the Zoom to clean it up. It's gonna clean it up as best I can. But you know yourself from listening to the older ones, they're always cleaner in the room when you have somebody. But sure, that's not fucking possible at the minute. So I'm gonna get soundproofing. I'm gonna order that tomorrow actually, and just get this place proper studioed out, just to take any bit of echo my side anyway. What can you do with the other person? You can't go, excuse me, would you mind buying some soundproofing and actually making a studio of your sitting room there? So you can only do what you can do, but we'll try and tidy. But so that'll be more of what the Patreon, they're looking after the show. It's all, anything, policy since day one, entering the spot for the show. We save it up as a gang. I buy it and then approve the whole situation. And it's lovely to do it that way. I was scheduled to be on, I purposely didn't talk about it on Tuesday or Wednesday's podcast with the Ramble Pod. Also, if you are brand new to listen to this, I know I just jumped into it like I'm talking to my friends. There'll be some new people listening to this. I do a Ramble Pod, which is me just literally rambling midweek, and that's a bit of crack. I was talking about, I tried to avoid your lockdown fucking story scenario and all the rest, but it's affecting everybody. Even the great Joe Rogan had to pause his podcast for a week. It looks like Gordo too is going to have to pause his for a couple of weeks as well, because I was supposed to be doing two different podcasts with him. But yeah, TCG has to grind to a halt as well, because he likes to have people in the room. You know, he's huge numbers watching live on his Patreon page and stuff. So you kind of want people in the room. So, I mean, look, you can't be, even if we sat there with masks and all the rest, but you can't, well, it's lockdown, we can't even fucking physically get over to his house. I know people go, I said it to a few people, and they're like, oh no, they the audiovisual stuff is okay, but sure, he'd have to get all sorts. He'd have to get perspex in and everything to fucking sit between. It'd be just weird. So I think we got to hold off on that one. But he has more stuff coming. If you haven't listened to those conspiracy guys, which I'm guessing you probably fucking have. If you haven't, you just found yourself a treat. Christ and Christ above, you got about 7 million hours of funny shit. Some dark shit, but funny shit. But also the boys from Monster Fuzz, I was on with them a couple of weeks ago. That's good crack. They are pumping out fucking podcasts. Jesus Christ, there seems to be one every week. The two boys are fucking tearing up trees on the podcast. So get over to the boys on Monster Fuzz. Fucking mighty crack they are. I know I had a really good time with them. I'm hoping to get them on the podcast in a couple of weeks. So we have podcast guests lined up for the next few weeks, so it's fucking lovely. And you know nobody's going anywhere. It'd be very strange if somebody turned around and went, yeah, could I reschedule that time? Because people in our field, yeah, we got nothing to be rescheduling, you know, so it's it's sad, but it's true. Oh, Jesus, I feel like a Kardashian with this new internet, lads. Huh? Want to fucking send a big file? Not a matter. You're not waiting 3 fucking years for it to happen. Christ, I'd nearly be fucking as quick writing it in stone and handing it to the person. Quite a few people I talked ad nauseum, absolutely, with no guidelines or whatever I was doing last Wednesday. I don't know what I was at. It was late at night. Rambling. Proper rambling. A few people came back and went, yeah, just cracked up at this one. I was talking about this judge, this creepy judge who'd been gotten himself a penis enlargement device that he was using on the job. The weird fucker. And I don't know, standard practice, I called it a Mickey pump. Turns out quite a lot of people had never thought of those things as a Mickey pump before, or thought of that phrase, because they found it quite funny. Snorting, laughing. I got cry laughy emojis from people, which, hey, I'm more than fucking happy. If that makes you happy. I suppose Mickey pumps. What would you call them? You can't take the fucking thing seriously anyway, but no gigs to talk about. There will be. There fucking will be. There'll be light at the end of the tunnel. I'd love to gig before Christmas. That'd be nice to get somehow gig in before Christmas, but sure. If not, there's already plans in place for stuff that's coming next year. Please God, we'll all have the vaccine. Let's be grand. To be grand. There's a few bits coming down the line, at least that'll be something to fucking keep an eye on anyway. But sure, look, we'll keep podcasting like bastards. Which brings me nicely onto today's guest. He's kind of on before, but it was kind of, we were doing it upstairs in the International, which was a bit wild. We were fucking, I don't know, was there pints being had? I can't remember. It was himself and Sean Walsh. We were just having to crack. It was kind of around the time of the Vodafone Festival a couple of years ago, but this is properly now one-on-one, myself and Fred. We go way back, like right back to the beginning. He's always been, like, since the day I first started. Well, not the day that was down at Cork, but you know what I mean. Since early doors, he's always been 100% really sound, great with advice and stuff like that. And we seem to get wound together an awful lot. I suppose to be called culture heads in us, you know, that kind of way. Great friends with his partner Julie. Should I say fiancée Julie as well, and their little baby Ted. Haven't got to meet Ted yet. Great name, isn't it, for a baby? Ted. All right, Ted. I just fucking love that. Ted and Fred. Why not? Class. I love it. So it made sense. I got onto him and he was like, fucking absolute Tom. Jesus, are you joking me? Right now, there should be no comedians not time for this podcast stuff. But we might even see a podcast out of Fred at some stage. Who knows? I'll help him if he needs it. No bother at all. So, like I said, to the Patreons, if you want to watch the video of it and not have the audio, just hang on a couple hours. If not, sit back, enjoy the wunderbar Fred Cooke. She's recording now, Fred Cooke. How are you getting on? Thanks very much for joining me.
Tom, mighty to hear from you. Great to hear from you. So thank God for Zoom. Thank God for lockdown and we're back in Zoom land.
Oh Lord, can you imagine if we were back doing like the Leaving Cert or something and the whole country went to shit? I suppose the only thing was you wouldn't know as many people and stuff. You'd just spend a lot of time in fields, I'd say, by yourself, would you?
That's it, yeah. Well, I think I've heard you say that as well, that we don't, you know, that whole thing about doing the Leaving Cert, which was kind of horrible, but then getting your results and you know, all those things that you do when you get your results, you know, they were kind of put aside. You do feel sorry for students today, don't you? Like that they're missing. Even the idea of, I was told that you're in campus, you're not allowed to go to another person's house on campus. Now, if I was my first year in ECD on a campus looking at a load of women waving at me from the other side, it's just like, it would kill me now, just waving, looking at them. I might as well be in prison, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, that's the freedom and the excitement, the social excitement that you have, you know, with all innocence. You know, it's kind of, it's, you know, it is what it is. And, you know, they'll have next year, hopefully. But my heart goes out for them, like. Really
I was thinking about it because I remember our first day in college and it was it was amazing. 3 of us in the house all went to school together. Like,
yeah.
It's just like we're going camping. Do you know, we're in a house, like we're going, so we get to have this house.
Exactly, yeah.
And the excitement, you're going back up to the college and you're going, what's your place like? Are you living with any mad cunts? Yeah. Like, you know, and you can't.
It's childlike fun. It's like, can we stay the night? Lads, we're staying the year and it's our place. No parents. We don't need permission this time around. But it is that. I remember my first night out in college. I went to the Palace with 2 friends of mine, and I was scared of the freedom that I had. I didn't know what to do. Even talking to girls, I kind of got a bit anxious about the whole thing. I cry for it these days. Like, wow.
Do you know what? That should be a class they do in the Leaving Cert for reality. Like,
Yeah.
I kind of looking just an early doors kind of effort to look at lads. You're going to be going out and having the crack. Just that, set up a classroom like the woodwork room, but have it done like a bar.
Actually, we did that. In our religion class, Miss Lydon, she was a wonderful religion teacher in secondary school, but we did scenarios like that where we were good crack. She was trying to teach us the difference between being passive and active, and when it's important to be active or passive. So we did the example of queuing in a nightclub trying to get in and being active, wanting to get into a nightclub. And then I was like, can I act out passive? I want to act out passive. And then she's like, you're not allowed into this nightclub. And I was like, I replied, well, that is absolutely no problem whatsoever. I was just, oh man, it was just funny. We're all crying laughing. Absolutely. I'm awful sorry for being, I'm going to head home and watch some telly. Be safe now. Good luck. Those moments were so silly. That was our first time. You were probably like that, Tom, wasn't it? That was our 30 people in the classroom and you standing up. That's your first experience of stand-up, really, isn't it? Before you go professional, like.
I can remember it was physically beaten out of me in primary school, but because we had this crazy old wagon. She used to hit a handful of us in the class because our mothers didn't hang out with her on a Monday night up in Nelly's bar playing 45. So so we weren't the favourite kids. But I'll never forget. I actually didn't mind getting hit. And I genuinely love the rebelliousness. And more so, if I was getting hit in a room by myself, I'd be utterly distraught. But the fact that everybody was watching me getting smacked with a ruler or whatever, I was like, go again, bitch. And I think that it's gone back that early even. I was going, I love this. I loved it. I'll take physical pain just for that.
That must have been the last of the last, that kind of punishment.
It was bananas. It was I never met anybody since my age that it was just so, it was such an innocent place. Like, and I remember saying to even schools around us, like there was a couple of primary schools within 4 or 5 miles, in village, but we were out in the down a rural road. Yeah. And she just got away with it. She just, this crazy old weapon, she got away with it. And I remember saying, I know she got pulled on it a couple of years later. But like, she didn't lose her job or anything. She was absolutely fine. Yeah. I can remember I don't remember an awful lot from my childhood, but I remember vividly remembering she was describing the different birds that were outside the room or on a tree. Yeah. And of course she said, there's a yellow tit over there. And look, a blue tit.
Tried laughing. Yeah.
And of course, I had to put my hands under my jumper, jump up on the desk, and immediately start miming tits, and just, did it. Yeah, got a hiding for it. But everybody cracked up laughing. So.
What age were you then? That was like first class, second class, was it?
No, that would have been junior infants, high infants.
Right, yeah.
Some age 5 or 6, like.
Right, yeah.
I don't know what would make you want to hit a child age 5 or 6, but this woman had some issues, like.
When we were in first class, we had this headmaster, and he left now when I went into second class, but I think he was the last of the last, and he would send the fear of God into you. And I know he lost his job for being actively bullying students and stuff like that. But it was just, my dad wrote a letter to the Irish Times when he was in primary school saying, it might have been early secondary school, but he wrote a letter to the Times saying, can we stop corporal punishment for kids of primary school because they just don't have a chance of surviving. You know what I mean? Like, whatever about, and he wasn't defending secondary school either, but it was just like the fear of like Christian Brothers. Like, what the fuck? How did that happen? Do you know what I mean?
Did you go to a Christian Brothers school?
No, I didn't. But I do think in first class that headmaster was the last of the last of that approach to education, to corporal punishment and to abuse. Like, so it was just How are you meant to learn long division when there's a lot of bitten?
Our school, there was 3 classes. There was the juniors, then there was first, second, third, and then I think 4th, 5th, 6th were in with. And the middle people, lovely teacher, The later schools was our principal. Now, by the time I got there again, he left, but I think the drink got the better of him. But also, I think, but he actually had a length of, you know, the water pipe that you come into a house, like Alcazine pipe, and he had a length of that with a nut on the end of it. And you'd get that across the hands. And you're like, what is it? But
and you're 5, you're 6 or 7, are you? You're 5 or 6.
Well, in fairness, he wouldn't bother with us. It was always the older boys, you know. Now, I mean, they did breed a tougher kind of natured child around our way. Like, when I think about it, I've met children since, I'm like, oh God, we were fucking gargoyles. Like, you know what I mean? There was, do you know those young lads who were like 11, but like it wouldn't look weird if they were smoking fags and driving a car, do you know, and had a mortgage. You know them lads? Like, there was a few of them in our school, like, you know, but it's funny. I went back to the school recently in maybe the last 2 years, because the teacher that's there now, she's a very progressive principal. And she asked if I'd give a bit of a chat and I was to give out an award or something. Yeah. And I had, in my head, I was like, oh, the dank, dirty old school, you know, it's just a dreary old place. I walked in, it was this bastion of loveliness. All the kids were really nicely natured. All the teachers were lovely. Yeah. It was unbelievable just how nice these people were.
Julie just came in with Ted.
Oh, I love it. Oh!
There's Tom there.
Hi, Julie's hand. How are you?
Julie, how are you?
I'm good, Sam. I'm in the middle of feeding the baba.
She's in the middle of feeding the baba.
Fantastic.
Good.
But she's asking after you. I hope you are well.
Brilliant. Well, of course, I'm asking after her too. I love that. Oh, that's for anybody. That's other podcast guest, Julie J. But it is funny.
I'm working in the UN, but everyone's speaking English. I have to translate. I'm translating English language to other people with the English language.
You have the white headphones in. Yeah.
Foundation level translations. What's the catch? There's no other language.
Do you know? But when I was thinking about that school, and I was going, I was nearly uncomfortable how nice everybody was. Like, I was going, oh, this is what these kids are going to be. Really well balanced, nice people growing up, and they were there. It was a whole festival of things. Kids were getting medals from like a county hurler and stuff, and then they wanted to. It was like, this is a rural school, like, but they wanted to pull up the flag. They had somebody raise the flag of what was it? Inclusiveness, kind of this thing. I was like, what do you mean inclusiveness? Because all from all nations. And I went, have you looked around your school? This is the whitest school in Ireland right now. Every kid looks Aryan. Like, she goes, I know, but we'd be inclusive if we get some that aren't. I'm just saying.
Yeah. It's amazing different times. I had it as well. I went back to my primary school 2 years ago, and I was trying to get some votes for Dancing with the Stars. So my dance partner, Timmy was doing some of my PR, Timmy being my brother, and he set me up. I actually went to my high infants and baby infants, and I met all those and the teachers there, and then I went across to my primary school, and there was 400 in the assembly hall, and it was me and Julia dancing around that, but I just couldn't get over how. Now, we weren't bad, we were decent, well-behaved students, in the 80s, but there was a few. Everyone was just so well-behaved, and there was no. There's no intimidation coming from teachers either, and a lot of the paintings that were around the wall in the assembly hall, they used to be all religious with us, like Zacchaeus up the tree, all those, like, knowing and all that stuff, and but this was just pictures of the town and good virtues, pictures of that instead. You know what I mean? Like pictures of good morals. And so it was just, but you could just see the difference. You could just see but I'm sure it's in perspective to, I was an 80s kid, so my dad would have seen the difference compared to that in the late 60s.
Oh,
you know what I mean? So it's just getting, what's it going to be like in another 20 years? It's just, hey lad, smoke as much hash as you want. It doesn't matter.
Man.
Okay, man. The only thing I like to multiply is my ecstasy tablets. You know what I'm talking about?
Just these liberal kids with long hair. Like,
Yeah. How good is it going to get?
I'd just be interested to see what they turn out. Are they all going to be like, Greta Thunbergs and try and save the planet? Like where our parents and us, kind of the gross ones, kind of fucked it up a bit, and then You know, because back in their grandparents' time, it was all bap, 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 bap. Everything was lovely.
Yeah,
There was plentiful. There was plenty of everything, and our kids now going to sort it out. Basically, that's what I'm hoping.
Yeah. Mom told me it takes one family to make it. It takes one generation to make it, and it takes the next generation to break it, and it takes a generation after that to try and recover anything or salvage everything that they had in the first place from 2 generations beforehand. So I think definitely the generation after it are the people trying to salvage what we destroyed. And but I was actually thinking as well with our sons as well. It's so different. Like they'll have it so easy in ways. Like the whole with 5G and Google Maps. Like they'll never have to drive again. Do you know what I mean? Like you just have these cars that'll bring them wherever they want. And I can see my son. I can see my son in Kells getting into a car after 10 pints. And the phlegm coming down his mouth, and he's just got enough energy to say to the car, Navan! And the car just brings him to Navan. Like, how lucky is that child? Oh, Navan! And Chipper, Supermax, on the way, Supermax. You know, it'll just Google Maps will know, like. So lucky.
Do you know, and even smart technology, AI would be so good at that stage, it won't even need to be told to stop at Supermax. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It'll just stop at Supermax and go, okay. Sorry, Ted, I'm just going to order for you here. I've ordered ahead, actually. Garlic chip and cheese. Oh, my God. Yes, you do, Fred, Ted. You do. Yeah. You'll thank me tomorrow morning. You think there'll be a glass of water, a bottle of water cooling in the back for him, like.
We'll be ready to bring it to the doctor next day.
But what will their trials and tribulations be then? Like, you know what I mean? When they're going to things like, you know, like, are they all going to be too cool with girls? Like, are girls going to be too cool with fellas? Do you know? Yeah. Because we all know what 17 and 18 was like. Nobody was cool.
The word. Yeah. And we were so heightened to everything, you know, so sensitive. Like, you know, it's, I just hope, you know, I remember saying to Eleanor once, I was talking about these people in my primary school and secondary school, because I went to an all-boys secondary school, so it was rough. So rough.
That's the one thing I'm thankful for. I went to a mixed school.
Yeah. But I always remember a few people in the school who were never looking for attention, and they were never bullied, and they were always kind of comfortable in themselves, and they were never actually, and like some of these people obviously became prefects because they had a bit of say in the cool bad lads, yet they also had respect with everyone else. And there's those people in middle ground who were prefects. But these people didn't even want to be prefects. They were just so comfortable in themselves that they didn't even, unlike us, they never even felt the need of telling a joke. No. They just casually laughed in a nice way. And I remember saying to Eleanor, like, I would have loved to be like that, you know, just so comfortable in myself. And she says, her answer to that was, well, they must have had really good parents to instill that calm in a child, you know, to the fact that you've got nothing to prove to anyone, you know what I mean, and you know the social peer pressure that you were just talking about there. It's you know, it's so hard, and like to be bullied as well. You can't see beyond leaving cert, you can't see beyond fifth year, you know, and it's there's no one else to defend your case. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It feels that whole negative tone put on squealing, you know what I mean? Just like talk to someone and get stuff sorted. I don't know. Ultimately, I just hope Ted's comfortable in himself. That's it. Sorry.
Well, do you know, we sure, both our sets of parents were probably grand and as good as they could be, but we were very lucky in this school we were in that the principal was a nice man and a very fair man, but he instilled, I'd say, even in the teachers, I'd say, an intimidation, because he was a very big, strong man. Yeah. And there was always an underlying current that if you fucked around too much, he'd drop you with a dig. But you definitely deserve it. So
what do you mean drop?
He'd drop you with a slap. Like he never did. Like, okay, he did kind of chin me once, but then that was absolutely on purpose, necessary, because I almost. Last month. Yeah. It was. I almost killed 2 teachers with a car while driving like a lunatic. But anyway, that was another story. But the reality was that no bullying would have been tolerated. And anybody who even thought about it, he just needed to shoot you a look from 300 yards across the field. And he went, oh, shit.
Yeah,
He had that proper boss person presence.
Yeah,
a fair man, nice man, and very good for the school, but he put the chills down you if you like.
Did he have a bass voice? Hey, pick up that book.
Yeah. Well, he did. Like, I think it was more.
Pick up that book.
I think it was more to do with his physical size. He walked like a bloke who.
Yeah.
He wouldn't have looked out of place on a building site. You know what I mean? He walked like a fellow with purpose.
Yeah.
You know, he hadn't time for that stupid shit. So cut it out. You know. So
I know what you're saying. Yeah.
The lads that thought about bullying, they were quickly. If you were sent up to his office, he wasn't going to negotiate with you. That was like, to give you an example. Stuff was robbed out of a dressing room by a group of locals, we'll say, that lived down the road, and robbed out of the school. And he went down to him and basically challenged the toughest one of this group, unless and more stuff came back than what was actually robbed, Fred. Like, he had that kind of intimidating feel, you know. So we were very lucky in that sense that almost no bullying went on in the time I was in school.
Amazing.
There was lads with blackguard. I mean, blackguard was allowed. You know, friends were allowed to blackguard and mess around the place a bit.
Yeah.
But as far as actual bullying, no.
Yeah.
So, you know, it stopped there, like, you know. So we were kind of lucky in that sense.
Yeah, me too. I was in my secondary school. It was run by priests.
Was it?
They really were the last of the last. And it wasn't like a posh boarding school. I mean, the church paid for electricity, and like the education system was public. So it was like there's day boys coming in as well. So it was probably.
Did you board? Did you?
Yeah, I boarded for 5 years, and so it was. And you know, there's moments in my life there's moments back then. It'll be hard to laugh as much as I laughed back then. You know what I mean? It was just chaos and absolute laughter, and it's I can't do stand up. I kind of tried to return to that, or find an example or a story or something, you know. But at the same time, looking back, it was really tough, and I was bullied. I think looking back, I was probably bullied more than other people because I was so sensitive. I was so sensitive to what people said, and I couldn't, you know, see the wood from the trees. And I guess when people are sensitive, then you become an easier target for the bully.
Yeah.
You know, so, and it was all that, you know, so.
Well, it's going to be another lad's own insecurities too, and he'll go, well, like, were you tall as you were in school? Like, because you're 6 foot, like.
But you know, I've heard that. I remember hearing that it's another lad's insecurities. That's his insecurities. And I'm like, yeah, but what? Yeah, okay, it's his insecurities, but it doesn't explain my bloody nose. It doesn't. You know, it doesn't
explain why I'm in A&E.
Yeah, exactly. He's got his own stuff going on. Yeah, I've been in a headlock for half an hour. What are you talking about?
He's got stuff going on. No, I got stuff going on right now.
Exactly. Yeah. So go on. Sorry,
I need to. I don't normally get topical and have topical guests on, but you're in Dingle right now, aren't you?
Yeah. We're 20 miles away.
But the town of Dingle must be thrown sideways, let alone from the worldwide pandemic. But I mean, the man himself.
Fungi. It's sad. It really is sad. I don't know.
People joked about it, but the more I looked into it, I got really upset.
I really got. Yeah. When the footage came in RTE, like, and like Julie, like it's just you just don't go there. Do you know what I mean? In this house now, making fun of it because I guess Julie kind of grew up with Fungi. You know, like she's like Julie. Fungi was around 33 and Julie's 36. So when memory became alive in Julie's mind was Fungi, early memories until now, like. And I went around Super Value there 2 days ago, and there's a sadness in the town of Dingle, and
for anybody, because we have quite a lot of overseas listeners, Fred, we better clarify this.
Exactly, yeah.
What in the name of Christ are those two on about? So I'm going to let you just briefly explain who Fungi is and who Fungi was and possibly still is.
Yeah, Fungi was a famous bottlehead dolphin who came into the Dingle Bay in 1983, and he never left until the last week. He came in and out, and he went missing maybe 1 day or 2 days, but now he's missing for 7 days. And the nice thing they said about Fungi was the Dingle, even though he became a massive tourist attraction, and people in Dingle say that they got their kids through school and university, these tourist attractions to see this famous dolphin. The town never owned Fungi. They never owned it. And they never claimed him. They were just always grateful to have him. And Fungi was he was unlike other dolphins, because unlike most dolphins, they like to meet up in, I think, a pool. Is it a collection of dolphins and stay together?
A school.
Yeah, a school of dolphins. Yeah. And but I guess Fungi in some way it kind of like solitude and performance. So he used to chase boats. He used to chase boats when he arrived, and there was no other dolphins around him. This back in '83, when the fishermen would notice him, and then he was just so playful, which most dolphins are. And then then he just became a massive tourist attraction. We're talking, I went to see Fungi maybe a year ago with a few mates from Leitrim, and there was another 8 boats going out to see him.
What?
So like another 8 boats going out to see Fungi, and the boats are packed with people to see this dolphin. That now see the pictures that you see of Fungi, he's always doing like backward somersaults. He's got a deck of cards. Pick a card, any card. Unbelievable. You're gonna see this lad. He's moonwalking across the bay. Wow, how does this dolphin do it? And they say if you don't see the dolphin, we'll give you your money back. And I do think over the last 3 years it's not that he was giving less of a performance maybe, and he's probably going more in on himself. And but over the last week he went missing, and they had the Mallow Search Coastal crowd looking for him, and he can't be found. But we can't say that he's dead, because we don't know. He might have just decided to leave, like Lassie or the Littlest Hobo. His work is done. Or else he followed another school of dolphins. What I think, and this is my personal thing, and it actually makes me quite sad to think, because I know, people always say if there's a metaphor here, but in entertainment, people always say, comedians, 70s comedians I've heard, when your time's up. Yeah. Time's up. They put a stick in your ass and goes, well done, I hope you enjoyed yourself, and we don't need you as a performer anymore. And you say, okay, and your gratitude with the life experience that you've had, and you move on. You retire. We've all said that. And like Bob Monkhouse, remember Bob Monkhouse saying that, and Bruce Forsyth, but he managed to fight against it and go forever until he died. But I think with Fungi, when lockdown started, the boats weren't going out. The boats weren't going out.
Right. Yeah. That makes sense. You know what I mean?
Like the boat, and he was like, "What's going on here? Why don't people like? I'm Fungi. Why don't people want me?"
I've gotten a new top hat for this shit. Come on.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, you take the cards for God's sake. And maybe he felt unknown to himself that this is terrible. I know it sounds so sad. Maybe he felt not wanted.
Yeah.
Anymore. He felt like they don't need me anymore. The boats aren't coming out. So because obviously the boats weren't coming out with lockdown anyway. So, and he said okay, and he decided to move on out to the sea. And that's what I think, which is also very sad. But if it is, he probably will return.
Can you imagine if he did? If that genuinely was this. He was like, well, fine if they don't want me, and like after lockdown and everything, but he turned up in Kinsale. Or some other, like he turned up in Youghal, and all of a sudden now they're making a fortune, and he's like, well,
exactly.
And now all of a sudden it's like the football draft. They'll have to buy Fungi back. Like
you're back in the Stag and Carrick and Shannon. Oh, it's Seamus, the seafood, the sea trout, who looks like a dolphin.
Yeah.
So,
is there any more? Like, was it the only one animal attraction in the country? I can't think of any others. Like, there wasn't Brendan the Badger from fucking Belmullet or something, was there? Like, Brendan smoking fags as somebody's. Oh, kids are coming. Fucking.
Kieran the cat from Kilkenny. But like, I think, it's there's a market there. Now that you think about it, but you have to find something that makes the animal special. And what was special about Fungi was the way he gave himself isolation to perform. And there's very few these bottlehead dolphins around the world. so he's probably the most famous of the lot who naturally did isolate themselves. So you just hope he does come back. And what a fucking year. My God. In the middle, like Dingle's been affected, like thrives on tourism.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Pubs and fungi and restaurants.
It's the most Irish postcard looking town in the history of Irish postcard looking towns.
Like even RTE, when they go, and how's tourism doing? Well, here we are in Dingle. You always go to Dingle.
It's the epicenter of it,
Yeah, exactly. Or they'll go, and how's the negative approach to student life? Well, here we are in Galway.
Yeah.
They'll always go to Galway and find lads drinking by the Spanish Arch. The easy options. But it is that, it's that kind of, it is very sad. Like obviously, and hope you might turn up. Tom.
I'm hopeful. Because those kind of dolphins, what do they live like? There's some dolphins. I think they live to 50 or 60 years of age. Some dolphins.
Yeah, for that. Well, the thing is, what I heard about Fungi is that he's been here for he's been here for 33 years in Dingle. And but they were unsure of his age when he arrived. So
right.
Because of that, he could have been 40. Like he says, he definitely wasn't 0 when he arrived. so that's the thing. He probably would have been an estimation around 40 years of age. And but even at that, I can't tell you. So,
jeez.
Yeah.
Because you remember Flipper, the show Flipper.
Yeah.
The kid had a little hooter that he'd put under the water. And all of a sudden, Flipper he'd rock up in the same way. Because in the 80s, if you had an animal or any sort of you had to have a call of some sort, like Skippy.
Yeah.
It was the whistle for Skippy. Knight Rider was just talking to his watch. There was something.
Yeah, oh, very good, yeah.
Anybody have a Bowron or anything that fucking, that Fungi would know of,
You see, the thing, Fungi was such a performer. He didn't need the signal. He was there.
Yeah.
He was there already.
Ready to go.
He was in the green room. He was in his green room drinking a coffee.
Smoking
for the audience to come in. How are they? How many's out there today?
Just checking Instagram, making Facebook to see who checked in on this next tour. What?
Well, that's
what are you doing? 8 boats. I thought we're up to 12 boats, guys. What? We need to keep our head in the game here if we're going to make some money.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing as well. What was I going to say? Oh God, I'm blanked. Sorry.
Yeah. But you had because you had lived in Galway. You have lived in the and you're from Navan, Kells. You were from very touristy places too. In fairness,
I travelled to where the sun's shining. Do you know what I mean? Where there's crack to be had. And but I grew up. I often said because I grew up in Kells, County Meath, but I spent all my summers in Leitrim, in Carrick and Shannon. But then I went to secondary school in Cavan. And
did you?
Yeah. And spent 16 years in Dublin. So it's like I'm naturally designed to win the Rose of Tralee. I know them all. I know all the counties, all the places. All the people.
I need to ask you this because you're a good man for remembering stuff. I think my mind, I haven't Googled it because I kind of want to just get this from old pub style conversations. And a few people have said it, they're going, I don't fucking remember that at all. Do you remember the Keller Housewives Award of the Year?
Yeah, I do. I remember the pictures of it.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah,
Thank God.
I remember watching it with my grandaunt.
It was essentially the Rose of Tralee from Mammies, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was with ICA, wasn't it? Irish Country Women Association. This is what you do. This is what. I do remember that. Yeah.
Great, because I thought I was losing my mind. 4 different people went, nah, no memory of that, Tom.
No, and I remember, because it's funny, you have to stick to what you've seen. There's this movie, which I seen as a kid, and I shouldn't have seen it in primary school, and lads laughed at me. It was called The Coca-Cola Kid. This was the name of the movie, right? And but it was quite bold. He was making love to these women and putting coke on them and stuff. So I shouldn't have seen it. 5th class, 6th class. And I told the lads next day, lads, I've seen this movie called The Coca-Cola Kids. And they were crying, laughing at me. Going, Fred, you are mad. You're a spacer. And then, it might have been 3 years later, my friend Dara went, Fred, I'm sorry. I seen the movie last night. It's he admitted that the movie existed. So you have to stick to what you've seen.
Yeah, God, yeah. I have a vague memory of that movie. A very vague memory. I know movie. I shouldn't have been seeing it anyway when I saw it, but that was also the thing of the 80s. Like, because my wife's parents, like Natasha's parents, were quite like they left her watch only kids movies, which makes sense when she was a child. Yeah. But I remember watching like Chuck Norris movies with the old man, and lads getting cut in half with shit out in Vietnam and stuff. And you're going, this is great. I'm 5. This is great. And there was no. Even I remember renting the videos from our bus driver. Our bus driver had a video shop in town. This is his other gig, and he fixed televisions. But he was our school bus driver, Mike Flynn. What a man! And I'd ask him, I go, have you Terminator? And he'd go, I have. And he'd bring it on the bus, and so you could
watch it on the bus.
No, he'd bring it. And like he'd bring it on the bus on a Friday morning, and he'd go £1 so for the week or £2 for the weekend or whatever, and you give it to him. Your mother would be after giving you the £2. Or you could chip into it, but I much prefer to go into the town because you have all these videos in front of you. All the video, like it is. It's like Netflix is fine, but what you need is a Netflix the size of the wall and a whole room of Netflix, because then you have an appreciation for everything that's on the wall, don't you? Because now it's just a tiny little. One at a time.
Exactly. Yeah. No, we didn't even have a video player. So what we used to do, like, Dad used to rent out a video player for 2 days. You could rent out the actual video player, video box, and because of that we'd rent out 8 movies and watch them in 2 days. You know, and I'd have a friend's watch. And one day Dad and I were watching the trailer for Total Recall.
Class.
How wrong could we get it, right? Going, no, I'm like 8 or 9, and. And like Dad's like, that looks good, doesn't it? Total Recall. I was like, yeah. And then he goes, we'll rent that out and we'll watch it. We'll get a few other videos as well. We get a few of your friends down. And there are loads of it. This is true. This is so. But we didn't know, like, because so then this must have been like these Emma and Sarah. Now Sarah then would have been 7 and Emma was 9, and me being 8, and Podge, you know, from Ham Sandwich. Podge.
Yeah.
So he was there, so he would have been 9 as well. And we were there with Mom, Dad, around 6 kids watching Total Recall, right? Not knowing, and it was the moment. Do you know when the warning signs where we might be a bit young for this is when the woman with 3 boobs comes out, and this. Hold on, there's a woman there with 3 boobs, but it was so silly. We went on with it, but there's a moment Total Recall when he puts this thing up his nose to get something out. Nose just inflates. And I'll never forget, it was the funniest thing. At that moment, Dad went, here, look, when you put on Nuns on the Run. I swear to God, let's put Nuns on the Run on instead. And we were so scared. We were like, what the fuck? And we have to watch it. This one with 3 boobs. Dad put shit up his nose. What the fuck is going on here? Like, we're only kids. But it was a mistake, you know what I mean? Like, so then we watched Nuns on the Run. And it was fine, Dan. It was a good laugh. We forgot about we ever seen Total Recall. But I do remember Dad.
Ironically, he wiped it from your memory.
Watching at Christmas time. Now, Timmy, my younger brother at the time, would have been 6. I would have been 12, 13. And we were watching, it was Christmas Day. And we were watching It's a Wonderful Life.
Right.
Christmas classic. And Dad loves this movie, and he always cries watching it, and he cries like a child at the end of it. He probably had a lot of mulled wine as well, like, you know, and it was like happy days, and he gets so emotional watching it as well, like, but when he started crying on the couch, and my brother, being 6, was looking at Dad, and he goes, "Dad, are you all right? Are you? Are you okay, man? Are you okay? Are you okay?" And Timmy couldn't accept that Dad was crying at the movie, and annoyed with the movie. What? Is that movie making you cry, Dad? Is it? He goes, and Timmy gets the remote control and he puts on Back to the Future 2 instead. And he goes, look, there you go, that's better.
Dry your eyes.
Yeah, exactly, dry your eyes. Look at a hoverboard. Happy days, Dad. I guess he didn't understand emotion, like, you know, like that kind of sadness.
But there's grown adults who Timmy already outdone there. Like, he saw a situation, he went, how do I solve it? I need Doc and Marty McFly stat. I need him stat. Get him on hoverboard stat. Keep looking. Man, have you got any hot chocolate in there?
That was it. Yeah. Awful innocent.
Your dad featured. Did he feature in the show where you Fred Cooke learns to drive?
Yeah. Operation Transportation.
Brilliant.
And it was. He did, and I never heard my dad curse. I'd say twice in my life I've heard my dad curse, use the F word, and the only other time I've heard him use it is in that show at the very end when I nearly hit a wall and he just goes fuck in the passenger seat.
And that one other time was, what is he pulling out of his fucking nose? Turn it off.
And then the next line was, will we just put on Nuns in the Run instead? Fuck. That's what it was. We got loads of, I remember the videos we got that day, because Podger, we watched a whole lot of them. We didn't watch the end of Total Recall. Mac and Me. Do you remember Mac and Me?
Oh, yeah, the alien.
Yeah. That's it. With the little round mouth.
Yes.
And little chubby cheeks. And Short Circuit too.
Loved it.
Remember that? Yeah, Short Circuit too.
I Chappie was kind of based on, wasn't it? Or Chappie.
Yeah, exactly. And Thriller, the Thriller. Do you remember the music video? The Thriller Michael Jackson music video. But in order to get a budget for that, they had to make it a movie. But they didn't have. The music video was only 15 minutes. But when they decided to make the making of Thriller and put that into a movie, the manager was genius. They managed to get this budget. They're on the movie grants. And all that stuff and all that. So because of that, there was this video called Thriller where you watch to see the actual video and then you get to see the making of it. So I must have watched that 100 times with Pod. You know what I mean, like so.
Yeah, the Young Ones was the same way. Do you remember the Young Ones? Because they couldn't get the budget to make it for a comedy. So, but they'd get a budget they'd get a few bob to make a music show.
Yeah,
and that's why they were always like Madness or Led Zeppelin would be, and they tongue in cheek in the middle of a scene go, oh, by the way, Led Zeppelin happened to be in our living room, and they just cut to Led Zeppelin, and Led Zeppelin would be like, Libby would be like, all right, lads, and just give it black, and then anyway, like I was saying, after that.
What's the one with Cliff Richard? Did he drive him off a cliff on a bus or something like that?
Yeah. Christ almighty. When you could getting away with the stuff that they got away with, like I think like not a remake, but I think a notion, because we all knew those mad bastards. Like there was a gang of lads living up the road from us in college, and they all seemed to be from fucking, where was it? Somewhere in Galway, and they were all mad for fucking hurling and drinking fucking. Yeah. What's that shit that they love in the north and they love in Galway? And I wouldn't. The wine, the Buckfast. Yeah. They fucking loved that stuff. But the lads could do anything like. I went in there one day and they were all pucking slitters as hard as they could upwards at the ceiling to see if they could drive it up through the floorboards upstairs, like. Do you know, there was this lad that they all knew. How they knew him, I don't know. He seemed to be in college. He was like Van Wilder, this fucker. He seemed to be in college for about 10 years. And he'd been in CIT, GMIT, and he was now in WIT. And on Rag Week, like all the colleges kind of went on mystery tours, but it was all, you were going to another IT, like. And I'll never forget this guy, Cheevers was his name, showed up. And the lads were like, fucking Cheevers is here. Like, to describe, like, if we saw this guy come in to a green room, you'd go, is this guy a throwback to like a 1970s comedian? Like he just showed up this wet, windy day, and in the middle of the day, locked with a load of bottles of fucking Bucky, wearing like a GA jersey from like the 60s, different coloured socks, going, party, and he just rocked up out of nowhere from Waterford. Yeah. And just madness. I remember him surfing down the stairs. He was asleep on the lawn. Do you know, like... Yeah.
And he was probably hitting 30, I'd say.
Oh, well, if he didn't, he looked it. He was bollocks, this poor fella. Like, but he was way older than all of us. But there was all, like... But he kind of fitted in with the Galway lads because they were stone cracked. They were from the back of Beyonds in Galway, like, you know what I mean? Yeah. And they saw no consequences to the mad shit they did, like. Yeah. Because There was always a way to sort it. They found the plaster. The lads all clubbed together at the inspection of the campus, because we were in a house now that we rented ourselves, but the boys were all on campus, and the lads just hired a fucking plaster. Like, at 17 and 18, how do you even know to do that? Like, do you know, like, they hired a plaster to come in and plastered all the walls and ceilings.
They were mad but wise. There was wisdom, wasn't there? Like,
there
was wisdom in those lads, mature wisdom. Sure, I remember when I was in UCD, and the Ag Science Society would have their mystery tour for anyone doing Ag Science. And every year got worse and worse, something would happen. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not happening next year. There was no need for that. And then next year they'd have it. Okay, remember what happened last year, but we're all on a bet. And then the worst one, when it was cancelled, I don't know if they've done tours since, but they did a mystery tour, I think 2 busloads of Ag Science students, and they went out alone. And they went maybe for pints in Sean's bar, that oldest bar in Ireland. And then they went on a tour in the Shannon in a boat. 2 boatloads of Ag Science students going down the Shannon.
Wild cultures, like,
yeah. It's just wild. And they're probably getting a bit bored. What are we doing standing here in one position? What's going on here? Like, this is bullshit. And one lad decided to jump off the boat into the Shannon.
Of course.
No, exactly. And that was it. That was just a step too far. That's it. No more mystery tours for Ag Science. Like, he really is right.
What did you study in college?
I studied music.
Did you?
Yeah, I did a Bachelor of Music. Yeah, I have a music degree.
That makes sense, because you play everything.
Hence my amazing career in stand-up comedy. So yeah. But that's what I studied.
What are the ones that I've seen you play them up your nose? What are they called again?
I have them here. Hold on. I have them here.
Fred is after popping away to get these mystery yokes. I keep on forgetting what they're called. I call them like Fred monicas or something. They're like giant harmonicas, but I don't know what the hell they are. I've never seen them before.
Sorry, Tom, you'd probably have to edit that bit out.
No, I was actually describing what I thought they were, but I definitely...
Yeah.
What are they called?
That's the melodicas.
Melodicas, okay.
Yeah. And I bought new ones since, because the other ones I bought like 12 years ago. And this melodica comes from the Netherlands.
Okay.
And it took me quite a while to get it with COVID-19, and this one came from the States. So it's full of COVID phlegm and vitamin.
For the audio listeners, they look like a giant they look like somebody cut down a line on an accordion. Like it's, and just put a pipe on the end of it for blowing into it, like a whistle.
Well, it's laid out like a piano. Do you know you get your white notes and your black notes?
Yeah, okay,
yeah. And if you extend the piano, do you know what I mean? You got white notes and black notes there as well. So the only difference is if you're playing 2 together, what you would play that way, you have to play that way instead. You know what I mean?
Oh, right, yeah,
so
backwards.
that's it, like so.
Have you to kind of get ambidextrous in your brain to do them?
Yeah, you do. But it's like coding. You kind of know, you don't think left or right. You go, they're the notes you play. They're the notes.
Okay, yeah.
So that's it, yeah. I only bought these because David had already had a keyboard. So I was like, I can't use the keyboard, And Ben Bailey kind of had to get a guitar and Joe Rooney. So I said, well, just find something. Just buy some stupid instrument and just try and do something with it.
Yeah.
So then I would take melodica requests from the audience. And it's so stupid,
audio wise, you have to give me a blast or something. Can you Billie Jean, please? I know you know it because you are a big Michael Jackson fan. I know you can do, but give me the chorus of Billie Jean.
Well, let me give it a go. Yeah. Okay, sorry, mate. Fucked it up already. I've played these for a while. One more request.
I'm trying to think of something upbeat. Come out, ye black and tans. I bet you can't play Come Out, ye black and tans. Is that upbeat enough? Because
you go. Thank you. Chuck your law. Oh no. Yeah.
Do you know what? That is that brightens up because fucking some of the old Irish folky on music. And I was just saying this because I do a ramble pod as well, or it's just me talking ad nauseum bullshit.
Yeah.
But last night I was thinking, because all of our culture has been ground to a fucking halt, maybe we should just emerge with a new one where we just cast off all day. You know, the old England stories and all this. Maybe we should just turn Latino or just invent a new one altogether. And you might lead the way, like with the melodicas. Just go, this is the new, forget about the bodhrán or the harp.
But I do remember supporting Ardal O'Hanlon in Vicar Street.
Right.
And it was around the time of foot and mouth disease. No, it wasn't. It wasn't around foot and mouth. I was saying something. I forget what was going on in the news. But before I go on stage, I was just blowing the water out of these. So there'll be no water in them when I'm on stage.
Yeah.
And Ardal O'Hanlon says to me, Fred, I've got material on such and such in the news at the moment. Do you know what I mean? And I've got material on this.
Yeah.
And I just want to know, do you have any material like that? So like we're not overlapping.
Yes,
and
of course. Yeah.
I'm there, these melodicas going, I think you're pretty safe now. I think you're grand now, Ardal. We won't be using that. I won't be going into politics myself.
I love that. Like, listen, I'm going to talk about, the new fiscal treaty that's happening right now. And meanwhile, you're blowing the water out of your melodicas.
Complete different world, yeah.
Yeah, I think we'll be like two parallel lines. We will never meet. You're okay.
Exactly, yeah. So is that.
Yeah, because I've seen Paul Tye trying to change it up. He brought a lute on stage one night. I'm like, oh, come on, Paul. This is in Celebrate one night. I said, I'm not sure. Was it a lute? It was like, do, 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 do. It was, but not quite there. I think it wasn't quite, medieval sounding, but it was halfway between what looked like a lute and an actual guitar. Oh,
I know what you has. He's got this Martin guitar, which is, it's got no body to it. It's like one line. It's a strong.
Oh no, this is a different thing again. This had a body to it.
Okay.
But did he call it a scimitar? I don't know what he called it, but it was like I got to do something different, just like you. I got to do something different because all the guys have guitars and everything else. It was like, because I was trying to think too, because I remember reading a quote from Tommy, because you toured with Tommy and you were on the Tommy show as well when you were, when you'd introduce each guest or whatever. And I remember it was a great quote that you have the spirit of the clown in you. And I remember thinking, thank God, Fred became a comedian, because I would never want Fred to be my accountant or solicitor. Although I kind of would for a moment, you know what I mean? As you stand up in court and go, lads, shh, I have this. And next thing you start playing the melodica.
He also said in that quote, which I didn't put in, I just took the first line. He goes, I love Fred. He's got the spirit of the clown. And then he says, it doesn't come from a place of intellect. It's pure daft.
You should leave that in. People don't want to be taught anything. Because I see in the UK, they're just feeding them so much shit at the minute. The way they treat their citizens is phenomenal. The way they're speaking to them, listen, I know you've been doing this for the last 15 years. Dump it and retrain as something else. I mean, it's horrendous to say that to somebody, you've given everything to your cause, but you better burn those bridges. And I'm thinking, what could I even who would take us on now?
I know what you're saying.
We're kind of tainted goods.
Is it too late to become 2FM had this new, they had this music weekend for helping the youth with industry. And loads of kids asking questions, all wanting to become rock stars. Yeah. And I was kind of going, I'd look a bit stupid in the middle of it now. Asking Blonde Tracy a question. Yeah. Hi, Fred Cooke here, 40 years of age. How do I get started?
How do I get this? All this? Yeah, exactly. How do I get all this? I reckon, Fred, the way forward might be, we'll still get to perform. It's a rock solid business. I mean, we can stay in it forever. We joined the priesthood. I think they've got bags of cash. If they could just free up the whole, having a woman thing. I think it'd be the way. I imagine going to mass and you have, Fred Cooke. Leave it off tonight, Beatrice. I've got the accordion. You're grand.
like a priest, I just have to come on with the same material every week. What?
Yeah, no changing it up at all. Like that'll be the only thing. Like, you'd maybe get the altar boy to ring it differently or something. Can we just change it up ever so slightly? Like,
did you ever consider becoming a priest, Tom?
Yeah,
you'd be a mighty priest. You would have been a great priest.
I think you would too. There's a nice caringness in you because we had very good priests. We had a great priest. Fuck, he was good. He was really good for the camogie. He brought on the camogie because he believed in equality big time. Like, but his problem was, and he fucking loved being a priest, but his problem was he was far too good looking. He was, and it was.
That's why I never become a priest.
Yeah,
I know good looks would ruin it in the end.
But he just, by all accounts, he just had to pack it in. He was, it just. The urges were getting to him, like, But we had a couple of, like, the priest that married us is from down home as well. And he's a good man for the community, like the elderly community and stuff. And he's good. Like, I remember him telling me, like, with all the shit that exploded throughout the 90s and then into the early 2000s, like, I was ready to jack, like, but because I just didn't want to be fucking associated with this business anymore. But the next thing he gets a phone call, a guy's dying on the side of the road from a motorbike incident, accident. And he's got to go give him the last rites and hold the guy's hand and watch him die. Like, and he's gone, fuck, who's going to do this? If I don't, you know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
But I reckon there's a major shortage up and down, big calling. I reckon Fred would you have given it a go?
Well, I remember wanting to be a priest in secondary school around second year, but it was more out of ego. It was more.
The writing was on the wall, Fred.
Honest to God, it was more. It wasn't like genuine. It wasn't like, does God want me to be a priest? It was more. Sure. Why wouldn't he? I'm gas crack. And my uncle's a wonderful priest. He's called Fred Cooke, and he's retired now. And he was a canon as well. He's a canon as well in Cavan Town. He's retired, but. I always remember him as a child, and he was just great crack.
The way you said that to me, I was just listening differently. I imagined him as a child, my uncle. He was a child priest. He was just this little child walking around dressed as a priest.
In one God, a God of Almighty, a mighty Father, a Father of heaven. Sweets.
It's like for some reason every time we went into the maternity hospital here in Dublin where the chat was going, they kept on saying, rather than referring to the man's profession or the woman's profession, they kept on referring to them as the baby doctor. The baby doctor will be around in a minute. I'm kind of going,
oh yeah.
Again, I just imagine this little toddler coming in, like with his nappy on, but he's got a big white coat dragging behind him, going, so how are you feeling?
Starts crying. Your blood pressure's up. Oh, your blood pressure's up.
You wouldn't give us a I'm just gasping, lads. Has anybody got a bottle? Yeah, my dad was almost a priest. He went into the priesthood for six months.
Did he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereabouts?
Oh, where he was? I don't know if he was in Maynooth or was he?
Yeah.
Was he somewhere in St. Patrick's? I'm not sure where he was.
Yeah.
But he was into it for 6 months, and it wasn't, the overall longevity of it wasn't for him, like, but he thought it was, this is for me, like. But sure, I mean, it was standard practice. There were farmers. One sister became a nurse, one became a teacher. It was like, it was the trifecta. You know what I mean? It was going to, almost happen. Anyway, like.
Oh, one became an American.
No, it's my mother's side. Two of them became Americans. A couple became English, but.
One of my grandaunts she grew up in Monaghan, and when she was 14, 15, I think she went to America, but it was they had a choice of like maybe 4 girls same age, and one of them got to go.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it was going forever, and it is mad now. She's passed away since, but I've loads of cousins from the States because of it, and it is mad. Like that could have been my granny. my granny that went over to America, and my God, my life could have been so much more different right now. Tom the Bear or Mahoney.
Fred.
You know?
Oh yeah, would you still have been Fred? I wonder. Like what age? What stage? Because I became Tom around aged. I was Thomas for years, and still very people from that I would have gone to primary school with. I'd meet him every so often to go, Thomas, and it's almost a jolt. It's like, oh yeah, that's what I was called up until I was about 10.
Oh yeah.
Were you Fred? Were you Fred straight out the gate?
Always Fred. Yeah. Sometimes when I was in trouble, always Fred. Teachers always called me Fred. And then I was in the swimming club in Kells, and sometimes like the swimming club, the pony club would get part of us, because the pony club in Kells was always about, and I guess they were all into horses and stuff like that, and they're running and swimming. You know, the pony club were all about the triathlon and stuff. So they join us for swimming sometimes. This pony club crowd in Meath, and they'd
leave the horses out, like obviously. Like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. But they always call me Freddie. Oh, Freddie, how are you, Freddie? Do you know, that kind of sounding. And but if I was in trouble sometimes, I always know when Mom called me Frederick, I was like, what the fuck have I done this time? Like, you get called by your full name.
Court summons. Frederick.
Yeah. But I do have a bit of material that my name before my confirmation was Frederick Bernard Michael Cooke. So I wanted to take Jackson. So then I'd have I'd have Frederick Bernard Michael Jackson in my name, like, and well, obviously I wasn't allowed to take it because I never forget Mom saying you need to be called after a saint. Michael Jackson's not even dead yet. She says, like, desperate.
Yeah, but he's going to be a saint, maybe, for fuck's sake.
Yeah,
he's going to be a saint. Look at him moonwalking, for the love of God. Look at him moonwalking. I've, do you know what? I've taken up enough of your time. I won't trouble you for anything more. So there was to be gigs, but I'm guessing they will be rescheduled till next year. Obviously, you had gigs coming up.
November who knows? November was really busy for me, and but they've all been postponed until 2020. So any of my dates are up on fredcookecomedian.com.
I'll put the link in the show notes underneath this, so when people
and have all those dates up. There's still some December dates that are going ahead, but after that, like, all the dates are there. So. And
where are you, out of interest, where are you playing in December?
Hold on, I have to get my phone. my phone here, 1 sec. Where am I playing in December?
Yeah, because I did a couple of stand-up gigs. I didn't do my own show or anything. Like, I did a couple of stand-up gigs, all right, like, but they were few and far between.
I know what you're saying. Yeah. Actually, no, I've just have I had 3 dots. I had 3 dots on my, when you hear this, I had 3 dots on my phone for December. Oh, they must be gigs. And then when I looked, it's the 24th, the 25th, and the 26th. Oh, I'm very busy.
You cruel bastard of a phone. The most preset 3 days that are going to be in the fucking phone. Christ above.
I don't. I have a few TV things, but I'm not allowed to talk. Oh, no, wait. Do I? This is so. Oh, I actually do. I'm doing the Bride Club, which is quite ironic. It's this comedy club in Galway. Well, it's not. They don't just do comedy. They'll have a professor talking about something, and then they'll have a comedian at the end. So I'm doing that in 7th of December. So that's my December date. So as far as gigging,
get on that.
Next gig. So yeah.
Like I said, I'll put it on the show notes anyway. Fred, will you play us out with the melodica? Would you just play us out?
What do you want me to take? What you want? What you want?
Fuck. Again, I want to do something upbeat. You know, because I believe that Fungi is alive. I believe he's just, all he's doing is taking a bit of a sabbatical, probably a well-deserved sabbatical. What can we do? Something fun. Do you give me fun? Yeah. Sunshine Lollipops. You know that one. That song always puts me in a good fucking mood. So I don't know what it's about, but sunshine lollipops. I don't know. I'm from the after World War. I'm from the 40s.
Fred Cooke, this has been brilliant. Thank you so much for joining me.
Lots of love, Tom. Pleasure chatting to you as ever.
Thanks a million,
Talk
brother.
soon.
And my thanks again to Fred. Good man. So, if you look down in the show notes, his website will be there with a couple of tickets that will be rescheduled. So, to get on it regardless, get yourself a ticket and it'll be obviously rescheduled to a correct time. He is going to be in Galway, all fucking going right. And we get ourselves back out of this lockdown. He will be at the Bright Club in Galway. So, check out the Bright Club. I think you can buy tickets directly through them. My thanks again to everybody who listened. If it's your first time, hit subscribe. This stuff comes out all the time. There's a bunch of other stuff there if you haven't heard. There's a back catalogue of the Harden Up podcast. We will be doing more of them, alright. It's just busy. With just having to be able to sit down at correct times. The Tom and Jerry show will be coming. We have that rightly planned. We have our scheduling and everything done. So there'll be more of that coming. If you haven't, reignite the flame. Go back there. Look for the Tom and Jerry show. Jerry with a G. I don't want you to find some weird cartoon thing. You'll find it. It's all up there on your usual platforms that you listen to. You can join the Patreon movement if you want to support the show. You can buy some merch if you really want to wear my face on your body. Or at the very least, give us the 5 stars on whatever platform you're listening to. Give it a nice little review. That'd be lovely now, wouldn't it? Going forward into the old autumn with Iha Samhain just around the corner. Nice little review, that'd be lovely. And at the very least, wrap it up in a nice box, give it to your mother and tell her to the lovely podcast to listen to. Now, go on away, boys and girls, and I'll talk to you again next week. Good night, God bless, thanks.